We all tend to make desperate and poorly thought out decisions from time to time when it comes to a period of financial hardship. And that's exactly what I did last November when I sold a number of my own collectibles, most of which I knew I would be okay letting go of, except for one. And up until the moment I sold it, it was easily my most cherished possession. A Japanese base set Charizard card that I was given as a birthday gift when I was 9 years old. One day, I paid a visit to this nice little card shop I go to often. The owner is a very kind dude, very knowledgeable, helpful with answering questions, and usually prices his products more fairly than I've seen in most other LGSs that I've been to. He looked over the Charizard I showed him, which was in a clearly heavily played state. Scratches on the foil, much whitening around the edges, a glaring crease on the bottom corner. It's been through it over the 24 years I'd owned it. I thought, maybe I'll get $140 for it, perhaps even offered a little more, thinking I may be undervaluing the card. Nope, $70, and not a dollar higher. At first, I declined the offer because it was half of what I was expecting and willing to accept. So I left and sat in my car looking at it and thought, yeah, it's pretty beat up. Probably wouldn't even grade if that's what someone was looking to do with it. Any bit of money at the moment would have been more helpful to me than just keeping the card in my hands. Basically, my thinking was $70 is $70. I went back in and accepted the offer, only to immediately make my next poor decision, putting the money I got for the card towards a sealed booster box of Dragon Ball Fusion World Ultra Limit. Not realizing, too, that it was wildly overpriced at the time for $75. The new logic was, I'm going to honor the selling of my Charizard by creating a new sealed product collection and just letting it sit to appreciate. I ended up opening that box a couple months later. I got a couple hits, but nothing that made me feel good enough about giving up my Charizard. Nothing really could. 5 months have gone by since I'd sold the card, and I actually went back to that shop just last week to see what was new. Then I wandered over to a display case of rare vintage singles, and there it was. The very Charizard I sold, in a top loader, with a $200 price tag on the front of it. Soul crushing, to say the least. At first I felt swindled because of how little I got for it compared to how much it was being sold for. But in all fairness, the card's price had fluctuated upwards quite a bit in that time, so it made sense. But still, hated to see it. I wanted it back, and it was going to cost me $130 more than what I sold it for to make that happen, which I wasn't in a position to fork up. So I went home and rummaged through a collection of other cards I had to see what I could trade towards the Charizard. I had a Lost Origins Ampharos EX, a Journey Together Iona's Belly Bolt EX, a Vivi Ornidier regular non-foil rare, a Yuna Grand Summoner non-foil, a Bitterbloom Bearer Showcase non-foil, a Hexing Squelcher, a Starting Town, and a Doubling Season borderless. All of which I pulled in the last year or so and had no heartfelt attachments to. Mostly Magic, but I was lucky because the owner had been stocking up on Magic singles at the time, so there was hope. It got me $140 in trade value. Then I asked if he could work with me on the price a little, considering it was in terribly rough shape. He was kind enough to help me out and dropped $40 off the sticker. So, with the cards I traded, I only had to pay $20 out of pocket for my Charizard back. And here she is. Still in the top loader I bought it in. You can see how beaten up and weathered it's become. That creased corner I mentioned, more prominently noticed on the back. The guy even drew circles around the outside of the top loader to indicate the damage bits, but it still looks no different than how it did when I first sold it. Now it is going to go into this screw down display frame where it will remain and be in my possession for as long as I live. So, I certainly did undervalue this card. Not in dollars, but in sentimentality. Of course, to anyone else, a prized possession can be priced, but the stories behind them are beyond value. Thanks for watching.